In the quiet shadows of Hollywood's golden age, a rugged icon finally shared the heartbreaking truth about the world's most adored yet tormented star. Robert Mitchum, that unbreakable force of the silver screen, opened up about Marilyn Monroe in ways that revealed her fragile soul and his own hidden tenderness. Born into a world of struggle in the summer of 1917, in a bustling Connecticut town, he faced loss early on. His dad died in a tragic train yard mishap when he was barely 2, plunging the family into poverty amid the roaring 20s turning sour. His mom, a determined Norwegian immigrant, scraped by raising him and his siblings through the depths of the economic crash, teaching them to stand tall no matter what. That grit would later bleed into every role he played. Those brooding figures who stared down fate without flinching as a teen, he couldn't stay put. At just 14, he hopped trains, crisscrossing the nation during those hungry years, soaking up the raw edges of America. He took whatever work came, digging trenches, throwing punches in the ring, scribbling verses for others, even enduring a brutal stretch on a prison work crew for wandering without means. Those days etched a deep empathy in him for the outcasts, the wanderers, the ones society pushed aside. It fueled his ability to bring flawed, haunted men to life on film, characters who carried invisible scars. His path to stardom wasn't planned. In the early 40s, after tying the knot with the woman who'd anchor him forever, he landed a factory gig in California building planes while dipping toes into community plays on the side. His raw magnetism and that gravelly voice turned heads fast. Bit parts led to a studio deal, and soon he was making waves in gritty tales of the frontier and the front lines. Films about aerial raids and soldiers' hardships brought him praise, even netting a nod from the awards crowd for his raw turn as a battle-worn hero. By the late 40s, he was a top draw, the epitome of quiet intensity. He owned the dark underbelly of cinema, headlining shadowy stories of betrayal and moral gray zones. Think tales of tangled pasts, racial tensions, and heists gone wrong. His characters were jaded survivors, blending cynicism with a spark of humanity. He didn't overplay it. He just was. That effortless pull kept viewers glued, mesmerized by a man who seemed to live the parts he portrayed. But fame brought storms. In the late 40s, a bust for possessing something taboo back then could have sunk him. Yet he shrugged it off with that signature ease, did his time, and emerged stronger, his rebel aura only amplified. It didn't break him. It built the myth of the guy who bent rules without apology. On reels and in real life, through the 50s and 60s, he showed his range, jumping from wild river adventures alongside that iconic blonde to eerie mind games where he chilled as a twisted holy man preying on the innocent. Later, he terrified as a stalking avenger fresh from prison, a role that still sends shivers. Fame never changed him, though. He stayed grounded, cracking jokes, napping on set only to nail scenes in one go. Under that tough shell, a sharp mind, a soft spot for his loved ones, and a love for crooning tunes. He even cut records blending island rhythms and heartfelt country songs. As decades rolled on, he eased into wiser parts, holding the screen with undimmed power in sweeping romances, gritty crime sagas, and nods to his shadowy roots. His later works, even into the 90s, honored a life poured into storytelling. But rewind to a golden autumn in 1933, when a 16-year-old drifter spotted a 14-year-old local at a sunny Delaware creek. She was smart, steady, with a warmth that cut through his wild streak. Her link to his brother through school, in a brief spark, added a twist of fate, but it sparked no rivalry, just family warmth. He fell hard, talking about her with a fire that belied his cool facade. When he chased dreams west in 34, she stayed east, finishing studies with top marks before college. Their bond weathered miles and hard times, Letters flying back and forth, his laced with wit and ache, hers with steady support amid his doubts. In 1940, they sealed it in a simple kitchen vow, no fuss, just pure promise. That humility defined them. He whisked her to the coast, grinding in factories to keep them afloat while chasing acting breaks. Their first boy arrived in 41, growing up to chase the spotlight like Dad. A second son in 43, diving into thrillers. Their girl in 52, penning dailies that peeled back the industry's layers. Through it all, home was his rock amid the chaos. If his story touches your heart, please share it. For years, whispers swirled about his time with that luminous leading lady in their 1954 wilderness epic. The film dazzled with rugged landscapes, but the real drama simmered between them, sparks, strains, unspoken depths. Mitchum stayed mum for ages, dodging probes with his laid-back style. But near the end, he shared glimpses, raw and kind. She was like a scared kid wrapped in glamour, he'd say, voice heavy with years. Folks fixated on her looks, her sway. But she craved real connection in a town that peddled dreams. On that freezing shoot, amid roaring waters and biting winds, her fights were internal doubts gnawing, fear of fading. She pushed for perfection, craving kind words in a machine that churned out stars like widgets. He felt for her, offering quiet shield against the grind. Sure, she ran late, but once filming started, she lit up the frame with an authenticity born from hurt. He wouldn't patronize her like others did, assuming she was all surface. No, she was sharp, just scarred from a rough start and the spotlight's glare. She'd open up in quiet moments, sharing pains of isolation, a childhood in shadows, fame's cruel cage visible to all, reachable by none. No affair bloomed. He valued her too much for that. She'd been through enough users, he'd reflect somberly. What she needed was an ally. Her passing in 62 hit him like a gut punch. Privately, he'd rage at the system that drained her dry demands, deceptions, emptiness. They broke her spirit, he'd mutter, a mix of sorrow and scorn for an empire that devoured its own. In twilight talks, he'd defend her, not fragile fool, but soft heart in a hard world. If only more saw her humanity, not the myth she might have endured. His insight stripped away the scandal sheets, offering empathy for a soul seeking belonging in a hall of mirrors. It was a quiet homage, a caution. Even icons can shatter under their own glow. A chain smoker to the end. He slipped away peacefully in 1997 at home on the California coast, felled by lung woes after nearly 6 decades with his steadfast partner by his side. His legacy? A man who lived authentically, loved deeply, and saw through the facade to the hearts beneath. If these tales move you, hit like, subscribe, and pass them on. Keep the real stories alive.